I should have known something was wrong when Sarah came home with a bottle of Dom Perignon on a Tuesday. "We're celebrating," she announced, setting the champagne on our kitchen counter with the kind of flourish usually reserved for lottery winners. I looked up from my laptop. I'd been reviewing quarterly reports for the private equity firm where I worked as a senior investment analyst. Celebrating what? My performance bonus. She was practically glowing. $15,000, Marcus. Can you believe it? I couldn't, actually. Sarah worked as a marketing coordinator at a mid-sized pharmaceutical company. Good job, decent salary, around $72,000 a year, but not exactly the kind of position that came with five-figure bonuses. That's unexpected, I said carefully. I didn't know your company did performance bonuses at your level. Her smile flickered. Well, they do for exceptional work. Richard said I've been instrumental in the new product launch. Richard, her boss, the VP of marketing who'd hired her 8 months ago. That's great, honey. I kept my voice neutral. What metrics did they use? ROI on the campaign? Lead generation numbers? I don't know all the technical details, Marcus. She was already pulling champagne flutes from the cabinet. Why does it matter? Can't you just be happy for me? I was a financial analyst. My entire career was built on asking questions when numbers didn't make sense, and a $15,000 bonus for a coordinator-level employee didn't make sense. But I smiled and let her pour the champagne. Over the next week, I noticed other things. Sarah started wearing new perfume. Expensive, not the one I'd bought her for Christmas. She'd come home late 3 times, citing strategy sessions with Richard. Her phone was suddenly password protected. The real red flag came when I casually mentioned her bonus to my colleague David at a networking event. His wife worked in HR at a different pharmaceutical company. 15 grand for a coordinator? David whistled. That's unusual. Most companies have structured bonus programs tied to salary bands. For a coordinator making $72K, you'd expect maybe 3 to 5%, so $2,500 to $3,600 max. I went home that night and couldn't sleep. Sarah was beside me, her phone charging on the nightstand, face down as always now. I'm not proud of what I did next, but I'm not ashamed either. I waited until she was in the shower, picked up her phone and used her thumbprint to unlock it. The messages with Richard weren't even hidden. They were right there in her recent texts. Last night was incredible, worth every penny of that bonus. My hands didn't shake, my heart didn't race. I felt calm, analytical, like I was reviewing a bad investment that needed to be liquidated. I took screenshots, dozens of them. Then I put her phone back exactly where I'd found it. By the time Sarah came out of the bathroom, I was already planning my next move. I didn't confront Sarah. That would have been emotional, reactive, everything I'd trained myself not to be in my professional life. Instead, I did what I do best. I gathered data. First, I needed to understand the company's actual bonus structure. I reached out to a contact at a corporate investigations firm we'd used for due diligence on acquisitions. For $2,000, they provided me with a detailed report on Sarah's company, including their compensation policies, recent HR complaints, and, most importantly, their bonus distribution for the previous fiscal year. The report confirmed what David had said. Coordinator-level employees received bonuses ranging from $2,000 to $4,000 based on department performance. There was no record of any $15,000 bonus paid to anyone below director level, which meant Sarah's bonus wasn't official company compensation. It was personal. From Richard, I created a spreadsheet. Every late night, every strategy session, every time she'd been unreachable. I cross-referenced her calendar with her credit card statements. She'd been sloppy, using our joint card for lunches at the same upscale hotel restaurant, the Meridian. 4 times in the past 6 weeks, always on weekdays, always charged between 1 and 3 p.m. The Meridian had both a restaurant and a hotel. I called the hotel, posing as Richard's assistant. I need to confirm the room charges for Richard Morrison's corporate account for the past 2 months. There's a discrepancy in our records. The desk clerk was helpful. Too helpful. She pulled up 6 room reservations under Richard's name, all charged to his personal credit card, all during business hours. All on days that matched Sarah's strategy sessions. Now I had timeline, location, and financial evidence. But I needed one more thing. Leverage. I spent the weekend researching Richard Morrison. LinkedIn showed he'd been with the company for 4 years, married for 12, 2 kids in private school. His wife, Jennifer, was a pediatric surgeon, successful, well-connected, definitely not someone who'd appreciate her husband's extracurricular activities. But more importantly, I found something else. The company's ethics policy. It was publicly available in their investor relations documents. Section 4.7 explicitly prohibited romantic relationships between supervisors and direct reports. Violation could result in immediate termination. Sarah's bonus wasn't just infidelity. It was a fireable offense for both of them. I drafted an email, not to Richard, not to Sarah, to the company's HR director, copied to their chief compliance officer and general counsel. The subject line was simple. Formal complaint regarding ethics violation, supporting documentation attached. I attached everything, the text messages, the hotel receipts, the bonus payment that didn't match company policy. A timeline showing the correlation between their affair and Sarah's sudden exceptional performance. I didn't mention that Sarah was my wife. I presented it as a concerned anonymous employee reporting a clear violation of company policy. Then I scheduled the email to send Monday morning at 9 a.m., and I waited. The email sent at exactly $9 a.m. on Monday. I was in my office when Sarah called at 10:47 a.m. "Marcus," her voice was shaking. "I need to come home. Something's happened at work." "What happened?" "I can't talk about it on the phone. Please, I'm leaving now." I told my assistant I'd be working from home for the afternoon and drove back to our house. Sarah's car was already in the driveway when I arrived. She was sitting at the kitchen table, her face pale, mascara smudged. HR called me into a meeting. They're investigating. They're saying Richard and I. Are they saying it or is it true? She looked up at me, and I saw the moment she realized I already knew. "How long have you known?" "Does it matter?" I sat down across from her, my voice steady. "I asked you about the bonus metrics. You could have told me the truth then." "Marcus, I can explain. $15,000. I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots. "That's what he paid you." "For what exactly?" "Because according to your company's compensation policy, coordinator-level bonuses don't exceed $4,000. Her face went white. "You reported us." "I reported an ethics violation. The fact that you're my wife is incidental." "Incidental?" She stood up, anger replacing shock. "You destroyed my career." "No, Sarah. You destroyed your career when you decided to sleep with your married boss and accept money for it. I just documented it." She grabbed her phone. "Richard is calling his lawyer. This is harassment. You can't." "I can, and I did. Everything I submitted to HR is factual. Text messages from your phone, hotel receipts from our joint credit card. A bonus payment that violates company policy. There's no harassment here, just consequences." My phone buzzed. A text from David. "Dude, did you hear? Morrison got walked out of his building this morning. Security escort and everything." "What happened?" I showed Sarah the message. "Looks like Richard's Monday isn't going well either." She sank back into her chair. "What do you want?" "I want a divorce, uncontested. You can keep your car, your personal accounts, and whatever's left of that $15,000. I keep the house, my retirement accounts, and we split the joint savings 50-50. "And if I don't agree?" I pulled out a folder I'd prepared over the weekend. "Then I send these same documents to Jennifer Morrison, along with a note explaining how her husband has been spending his lunch hours. I also have a meeting scheduled with a divorce attorney who specializes in infidelity cases. We can do this quietly, or we can do this publicly. Your choice." She stared at the folder like it was a bomb. "I need time to think." "You have until Friday. After that, I file regardless of whether you agree." She left that night, packed a bag and went to stay with her sister. Sarah signed the divorce papers on Thursday. No contest, no drama, exactly as I'd outlined. The HR investigation concluded the following week. Richard Morrison was terminated for ethics violations and misuse of company funds. Apparently, that $15,000 had come from his discretionary budget, coded as a consultant fee. The company's general counsel was not amused. Sarah was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. 2 weeks later, she was offered a choice: resign voluntarily, with a neutral reference, or be terminated with cause. She resigned. I heard through David's wife that Jennifer Morrison had indeed found out, not from me but from one of Richard's colleagues who'd been questioned during the investigation. She filed for divorce within a month. Richard's LinkedIn profile quietly changed to "seeking new opportunities." The divorce was finalized in 60 days. Sarah moved to an apartment across town. I kept the house, my retirement accounts, and my reputation intact. My boss called me into his office 3 weeks after the divorce was final. "Marcus, I've been impressed with your analytical work on the Thornton acquisition. The due diligence you conducted saved us from a significant liability issue." "Thank you, sir. I'm promoting you to principal analyst. 20% salary increase, plus you'll be eligible for the executive bonus structure. That's an additional 30 to 50,000 annually, depending on firm performance." I shook his hand. The promotion had been in the works for months, but the timing felt appropriate. That weekend, I went to my favorite coffee shop, the one I'd stopped going to because Sarah said it was too pretentious. I ordered an espresso and sat by the window with a book. "Is this seat taken?" I looked up. She was brunette, late 20s, wearing scrubs and a tired smile. "It's all yours." "Rough shift," she said, settling into the chair. "I'm a resident at County General, Pediatrics. I'm Elena." "Marcus, investment analyst." We talked for 20 minutes. She was intelligent, funny, and refreshingly direct. When she had to leave, she handed me her number. "I don't usually do this, but you seem like someone who has his life together. Call me if you want to grab coffee sometime." Actual coffee, not a chance encounter. I saved her number. That night I deleted all the screenshots from Sarah's phone. I didn't need them anymore. The investigation was over, the divorce was final, and I had no interest in dwelling on the past. I'd made a bad investment in Sarah. I'd cut my losses, liquidated the position, and moved on. That's what you do when the numbers don't make sense. You trust the data and you act accordingly. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, my life had transformed in ways I hadn't anticipated. The promotion to principal analyst came with responsibilities I'd been hungry for. Leading due diligence teams, presenting directly to partners, making investment recommendations that moved millions. I was working harder than ever, but for the first time in years I was working for myself. Elena and I had been dating for 6 weeks. Nothing serious yet, but promising. She was a second-year pediatric resident at County General, brilliant and driven, with the kind of focused ambition I recognized in myself. Our third date had been at a medical fundraiser where she introduced me to the head of her department, a woman who sat on the board of 3 hospitals and 2 pharmaceutical companies. "You're in private equity?" Dr. Richardson had asked. "We're always looking for informed investors in healthcare innovation." I handed her my card. 2 weeks later, my firm was reviewing a $10 million investment opportunity in a pediatric medical device startup. If it closed, my bonus alone would be 6 figures. But the real victory came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was having lunch at a downtown bistro with a client when I saw her, Sarah. She was wearing a blazer that looked off the rack, carrying a portfolio, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, none of the expensive styling she'd maintained during our marriage. She saw me at the same moment. Her face went pale. I nodded politely and returned to my conversation. My client was a CEO of a mid-sized tech firm, and we were discussing a potential acquisition, the kind of deal that would make my year. When I left the restaurant, Sarah was standing by the valet station. "Marcus, Sarah, you look good. I heard about your promotion." "Thank you." She hesitated. I'm doing freelance marketing now, consulting. It's been difficult to find full-time work after everything. I didn't ask for details. It wasn't my concern anymore. I hope it works out for you. I made a mistake, Marcus. A huge mistake. I've been thinking... Sarah. I kept my voice gentle but firm. We're divorced. What happened is in the past. I wish you well, but there's nothing to discuss. The valet brought my car, the new Audi A6 I'd bought myself as a promotion gift. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. Sarah was still standing there, watching me leave. I didn't look back again.